Can you imagine what it's like to be the new kid? Stepping into a school where everyone's already carved out their place and you're just trying to disappear? What if the school's biggest bully decided to make you his target, not knowing you're hiding a secret so explosive it could flip his world upside down? This is the heart-pounding, inspirational story of Maya Williams, a quiet girl who walks into Clearview High School in Houston, Texas, and becomes the focus of Bryce Carter, the most feared guy in school. He thinks she's an easy mark, someone he can push around without a fight. Oh, how wrong he is. Maya's got a connection, a secret so powerful it's about to unravel everything Bryce thinks he knows. What starts with his smug arrogance is going to end with his jaw-dropping downfall. And trust me, you won't believe how it all plays out. Picture this. Maya Williams steps off the creaky school bus, her fingers clenched tight around the straps of her worn backpack, staring up at the towering front entrance of Clearview High. The crisp autumn air wraps around her, carrying the fresh scent of cut grass mixed with the warm, lingering heat of pavement baked by the Texas summer. All around her, students swarm in tight-knit clusters, their laughter and chatter echoing like a song she's not invited to sing. Maya feels it deep in her bones she's an outsider. This isn't her first rodeo, it's her fourth school in 3 years. Some kids move because their parents chase new jobs, but Maya, she's chasing fresh starts, trying to outrun shadows from her past. Can you feel that weight on her shoulders? She keeps her head down, her dark hair falling like a curtain over her face, praying she can slip through the crowd unnoticed. A few curious glances flick her way, new girl, who's she? But Maya dodges their eyes, her heart thudding with one goal: stay invisible. Clearview High isn't some fancy academy. It's just a sprawling suburban school packed with middle-class kids who've known each other since they were in diapers. The football team's decent. The cheer squad's got their shiny pom-poms and popularity, and the social pecking order. It's been set in stone long before Maya's sneakers hit the ground. None of it matters to her. She doesn't care about the cliques, the drama, or the Friday night games under the stadium lights. All she wants is to blend into the background, to be a ghost in the halls. But oh, fate's got other plans, doesn't it? Inside, the school's hallways are a chaotic symphony of noise. Lockers slam like gunshots, sneakers squeak on the shiny tile floors, and teachers shout over the chaos, trying to herd kids into classrooms before the first bell screams. Maya weaves through the crowd, her schedule crumpled in her fist, her eyes scanning for her locker. She's done this dance before. New school, new routine. Find her locker, scope out a safe spot for lunch, and, most importantly, figure out who to avoid. That's when she sees him, Bryce Carter. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a kind of effortless confidence that screams untouchable. He's leaning against a row of lockers, surrounded by a pack of guys in Letterman jackets, all of them laughing too loud at whatever he just said. Even from across the hall, Maya can feel it, that aura of control, the kind that makes people either bow down or cower. She knows his type all too well. Bryce is the golden boy, star quarterback, chiseled good looks, a wealthy family that probably owns half the town, but there's something darker, isn't there? The way the kids around him laugh just a bit too hard, the way they shift nervously when he speaks. Maya's seen it before, in other schools, other towns. Guys like Bryce don't just want power, they feed on it, thrive on intimidation. Her stomach twists, but she tells herself to keep moving. Don't look at him. Don't draw his attention. But sometimes, fate doesn't care what you want, does it? As Maya hurries past, someone slams into her shoulder hard. It's no accident. Her books tumble from her arms, scattering across the hallway like fallen leaves. A few students pause, some snickering, their eyes glinting with amusement. Maya's cheeks burn as she drops to her knees, scrambling to gather her things. Well, what do we have here? The voice cuts through the noise, smooth and mocking with a dangerous edge. Maya freezes, her heart pounding. She doesn't need to look up to know it's Bryce Carter. His tone is like a predator toying with its prey, calm but dripping with menace. She hears his friends chuckling behind him, their laughter like hyenas circling a kill. Slowly, she lifts her eyes. There he stands, towering over her, arms crossed. That infuriating smirk plastered across his face, the kind of smirk bullies perfect when they know they own the school. "I don't think I've seen you before," he says, tilting his head. "You knew?" Maya's throat tightens, but she doesn't answer. She grabs her books, stands, and brushes past him, her shoulder grazing his as she forces herself to keep walking. She is not playing his game. But Bryce, he's not used to being ignored. "Hey, where's your manners?" he calls after her, his voice booming through the hallway, drawing more eyes. "I asked you a question." Maya keeps moving, her pulse racing. She's been here before, faced down bullies in other schools, and she knows the rule: don't engage, don't give them the satisfaction. But Bryce isn't done. She feels it a sharp tug on her backpack, yanking her back just enough to make her stumble, not enough to hurt, but enough to send a clear message: he's in charge. Can you imagine that moment? The hallway buzzing with tension, every eye on her. Maya stops dead in her tracks. Slowly she turns, her eyes locking onto his. For a split second, the hallway feels silent, like the world's holding its breath. Even the kids who weren't watching before are now craning their necks, sensing something big. She meets Bryce's gaze, and for the first time, something flickers in his eyes: curiosity. Surprise? "You shouldn't have done that," Maya says, her voice quiet but steady, cutting through the air like a blade. Bryce raises an eyebrow, then lets out a slow, mocking laugh. "And why is that?" He smirks, his tone dripping with arrogance. Maya doesn't answer. She just holds his stare, unflinching, her heart hammering but her face calm. Bryce tilts his head, studying her. "You're kind of weird, you know that." His friends chuckle right on cue, like trained dogs. Maya turns away, walking off without another word. She doesn't need to look back to know Bryce's eyes are burning into her, his smirk fading just a little. Oh, he has no idea what kind of mistake he's just made, does he? The rest of the day passes in a haze. Maya keeps to herself, sitting in the back of every classroom, answering only when teachers call on her, avoiding eye contact with everyone. At lunch, she finds a quiet corner in the cafeteria, a spot near the edge where she can watch the room without being seen. Bryce and his crew, they own the place. They sprawl across the biggest table in the center, laughing too loud, acting like the world revolves around them. Every so often, Maya feels Bryce's eyes flicker her way, like he's sizing her up, waiting for her to crack. But he doesn't approach, not yet. She's relieved when the final bell rings, freeing her from the school's suffocating walls. The Houston heat hits her like a wave as she steps outside, the pavement shimmering under the relentless sun. She's almost to the bus stop, reaching for her phone, when a voice stops her cold. "Hey, new girl." She turns, her stomach sinking. There's Bryce, hands shoved in his pockets, that same cocky grin plastered on his face. A few of his friends linger behind him, smirking, waiting for the show. Maya sighs, exhausted already. "What do you want?" Bryce takes a slow, deliberate step forward, closing the distance. "You got an attitude problem, you know that?" Maya stays silent, her jaw tight. Bryce's smirk widens, feeding off her silence. "What, you think you're better than me?" Maya lets out a short, sharp laugh, not scared, not nervous, just amused. And that throws him off. Can you see it? The flicker of confusion in his eyes? "I think," she says slowly, each word deliberate, "that you should walk away." Bryce's grin falters for half a second, but he recovers fast. "Oh yeah?" He steps closer, towering over her, his shadow swallowing her small frame. "And why is that?" Maya leans in just a fraction, her voice dropping to a whisper, steady and fearless. "Because you have no idea who I am." Bryce chuckles, shaking his head like she's just told a bad joke. And who are you exactly? Maya doesn't answer. Instead, she steps back, pulls out her phone, and presses a single button. A roar splits the air, a deep, guttural engine growl that makes everyone turn. A black Dodge Charger Hellcat screeches up to the curb, sleek and menacing, the kind of car that demands attention. The tinted window rolls down slowly, and there he is, Vin Diesel, his presence like a thunderclap. Bryce's smirk vanishes, his face paling as if he's seen a ghost. Can you feel the shift, the way the air thickens with shock? Maya turns back to Bryce, a small, triumphant smile curling her lips for the first time all day. Still think I'm weird? She asks, her voice light but razor sharp. Bryce doesn't answer. For the first time in his life, he's the one who feels small, his confidence crumbling under the weight of that moment. Maya watches as Bryce's smug facade collapses. His jaw clenches, his eyes darting between her and the unmistakable figure in the driver's seat. The once playful arrogance in his stance stiffens, his shoulders hunching slightly as he takes a half step back. His friends? They're frozen, exchanging nervous glances, not daring to make a sound. The air feels heavy, charged with the kind of tension that makes your skin prickle. Maya, though, she's calm, almost too calm. She adjusts her backpack strap, exhaling slowly, as if she didn't just flip the entire school's power dynamic on its head. Vin Diesel sits there, silent, one hand resting on the steering wheel, his gaze locked on Bryce. It's not just a look, it's a warning, a presence so commanding it doesn't need words. Can you imagine being Bryce in that moment, your whole world shrinking under that stare? Bryce swallows hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Wait a second, he mutters, his voice cracking, like he's trying to convince himself this isn't happening. That cocky edge he always carries? It's gone, replaced by a tremor of uncertainty. He looks at Maya again, really looks like he's seeing her for the first time, scrambling to piece together what he missed. How could he have been so wrong? Maya leans in just a bit, her voice low and steady, meant for his ears alone. Still think I'm just some random girl? She asks, her words laced with quiet defiance. Bryce's mouth opens, then closes, like a fish gasping for air. He wants to say something, anything, but the words won't come. He's speechless, and for a guy like him, that's a first. Then Vin speaks, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Get in, kid. It's calm, firm, not a request, but a command. Maya doesn't hesitate. She strides past Bryce, past the stunned crowd that's gathered, their whispers buzzing like static. She pulls open the passenger door and slides into the Charger, the leather seat cool against her skin. The moment she's inside, Vin shifts the car into gear. The engine roars, a deep, primal growl that vibrates through the ground, and the Charger peels away from the curb, leaving behind a wake of shocked faces and hushed voices. Can you picture it? A high school hallway's worth of drama, all sparked by one girl and one car. For a moment, they ride in silence, the city of Houston blurring past the windows, the late afternoon sun painting the dashboard in streaks of orange and gold. Maya's fingers drum lightly on her knee, her body finally relaxing as the tension of the day drains away. Vin keeps his eyes on the road, his fingers tapping the steering wheel in a steady rhythm, like he's got a song in his head only he can hear. You okay? He asks, his voice low, checking in like he always does. Maya nods, then lets out a small, incredulous laugh. That was kind of dramatic, wasn't it? Vin smirks. That signature half-smile of his creeping onto his face. A little. She shakes her head, her gaze drifting out the window, watching the world whip by. I didn't mean for them to find out like that, you know. Vin glances at her, one eyebrow raised. What, you had a better plan? Let some punk like that walk all over you? Maya sighs, sinking back into the seat, her head resting against the headrest. I wasn't going to let him walk all over me. I was just waiting. For what? Vin's voice is curious now, probing. She shrugs, a small smile tugging at her lips. For the right moment. Vin's quiet for a beat, then lets out a soft chuckle, the sound warm and approving. You sound like me when I was your age. Maya turns to him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Vin laughs, a full, deep laugh that fills the car, shaking his head. Smartass. They lapse into a comfortable silence, the kind that only comes from knowing someone's got your back no matter what. The tension from earlier melts away, replaced by the easy rhythm of their banter. But Maya's not naive. She knows this isn't over. Bryce Carter, he's not the type to let things go. That moment at the curb might have shaken him, but fear? It's got a nasty habit of turning into anger, doesn't it? When they pull into the driveway of their home, a sleek, modern house tucked away in a quiet Houston suburb, Maya unbuckles her seatbelt but doesn't move to get out. Vin notices, his eyes narrowing slightly. Something else on your mind, kid? Maya hesitates, her fingers twisting the strap of her backpack. Then she exhales, her voice soft but certain. He's not done with me. Vin studies her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. No, he says finally, his voice steady as steel. But you're not done with him either, are you? Maya meets his gaze, a spark of determination in her eyes. You think I should fight back? Vin leans back in his seat, one arm resting on the steering wheel, casual but deliberate. I think you need to be ready. Guys like him, they don't take losing well. Not one bit. Maya presses her lips together, thinking it over. Then she nods, her resolve hardening. Yeah, I know. The next morning, Maya braces herself for the whispers, and oh, do they come. She steps into Clearview High, and it's like walking into a storm of hushed voices and stolen glances. The hallways are alive with murmurs, spreading like wildfire through the crowds of students. Some are curious, their eyes wide with wonder, who is this girl? Others are amused, smirking at the drama unfolding. And then there are Bryce's friends, a tight-knit pack of athletes and wannabe tough guys, throwing her dirty looks that could burn holes through steel. She spots them near the lockers, clustered together like a wall of hostility. Bryce is in the middle, leaning against the metal, arms crossed, his face a mask of barely contained rage. When he sees her, there's no smirk, no cocky grin, just a cold, hard stare. Can you feel the tension crackling in the air? Maya doesn't flinch. She holds his gaze for half a second longer than she needs to, letting him know she's not scared. Then she turns, heading to class, her steps steady, her head high. She hears the whispers trailing behind her, but she doesn't care. If Bryce wants to play this long, drawn-out game, she's ready. Bring it on! Can you feel the tension simmering in the air? The kind that makes your heart race and your palms sweat? By lunchtime at Clearview High, things had taken a sharp turn for Maya Williams, the quiet new girl who'd already caught the eye of the school's most notorious bully, Bryce Carter. As she weaves through the crowded cafeteria, her tray wobbling with a sad sandwich and a carton of milk, one of Bryce's lackeys, Ryan, a stocky linebacker with more muscles than brain cells, decides to play dirty. Can you believe the nerve? He accidentally sticks out his foot, sending Maya stumbling forward, her tray clattering like a cymbal crash. She catches herself just before she face plants, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. A few students turn, their eyes darting between her and the group of jocks, now howling with laughter, acting like it's the funniest thing they've ever seen. Oh, how they underestimate her. Maya straightens up, fixing her tray with a calm that's almost eerie. She doesn't scream, doesn't cry, she doesn't even flinch. And that drives them nuts. Ryan, still grinning like a fool, leans forward. What? No comeback, princess? He taunts, his voice dripping with mockery. Maya exhales sharply, her lips twitching as she fights back a smirk. Then, with a glint in her eye, she delivers the zinger. I just didn't realize cavemen still existed. Boom! The surrounding students let out a collective ooh, their gasps and giggles echoing through the cafeteria. Ryan's smug smile falters, his face turning red as the crowd's reaction stings. Bryce, lounging at his table like a king on a throne, tilts his head, watching the scene unfold. Is he impressed? Annoyed? Maya doesn't care. She strides past them, her head high, and slides into her usual seat at the edge of the cafeteria, eating her lunch like nothing happened. But deep down, she knows this is far from over. Bryce Carter doesn't let things go. Oh no, he's just getting started. By the time the final bell rings, Maya's braced for trouble. She's been through this before, hasn't she? Bullies like Bryce always escalate, always need to prove they're untouchable. So when she rounds the corner and finds her locker completely trashed, books spilled across the floor, markers scribbled in angry streaks all over the metal, she's not shocked. She sighs, leaning against the locker next to hers, her arms crossed like she's sizing up the mess. A few students linger nearby, their eyes wide, watching like it's a reality show. None of them are brave enough to help, but they're all curious what's she gonna do. Maya bends down, picking up her books one by one, stacking them with a precision that screams control. Her hands don't shake, her face doesn't crack. She can feel Bryce's stare from across the hallway, his eyes boring into her, waiting for her to break, to give him the reaction he craves. But Maya? She gives him nothing. Zilch. She stands, shuts her locker with a quiet click, and walks away without a single word. Can you imagine the look on his face? That silence, that refusal to play his game, it's driving him up the wall. That night, Maya's at home, sitting at the kitchen table, her fingers tapping a restless rhythm on the polished wood. The house is quiet, tucked away in a sleek Houston suburb, but her mind's buzzing. Vin Diesel leans against the counter, arms crossed, his presence steady and grounding as he watches her closely. They trashed my locker today, she says finally, her voice calm but laced with a spark of defiance. Vin raises an eyebrow, his lips twitching. That's their best move? He asks, his tone dripping with amusement. Maya smirks, leaning back in her chair. For now, she says, her eyes glinting with a plan forming. Vin nods slowly, his gaze sharp, like he's seeing right through her. So, what's yours? He asks. And, oh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Maya pauses, letting the moment stretch. Then a slow, confident smile spreads across her face. I'm gonna let him dig his own grave, she says, and the words feel like a promise. Vin's grin widens, proud and fierce. Now that's my girl, he says, and Maya feels it, that thrill of control settling deep in her bones. Bryce Carter thinks he's running this show, but Maya, she's just warming up. Maya knows exactly what she's doing. She's seen guys like Bryce before, big talkers, puffed up with their own egos, always needing a crowd to cheer on their cruelty. They feed on fear, on the reactions they pull from their victims, on the power they think they've got locked down. But here's the truth. Guys like Bryce aren't as bulletproof as they want you to believe. They slip up. They make mistakes. And Maya? She's patient. Oh, so patient. She's not here to scream or fight or beg for mercy. No way. She's going to let Bryce keep pushing, keep messing up, until he's buried himself so deep there's no climbing out. Can you feel the anticipation building? The next morning, Maya struts into Clearview High like she owns the place, her chin up, her steps steady. The whispers are still there, swirling around her like a storm, but they're different now. Yesterday, everyone was buzzing about the girl who got picked up by Vin Diesel in that jaw-dropping muscle car. Today, they're talking about what Bryce did to her locker. The school's split down the middle. Some kids think it's hilarious, snickering behind their hands, while others are starting to side-eye Bryce, muttering that he's making a fool of himself. Maya can feel it, that subtle shift in the air, the moment people start questioning the so-called king's authority. His throne's wobbling, isn't it? Bryce is leaning against the lockers as usual, surrounded by his posse of jocks, all of them laughing about some cruel joke. But when Maya walks by, Their laughter stumbles, their voices faltering. Bryce's eyes flick toward her, sharp and hungry, waiting for a crack in her armor, some sign that yesterday's stunt got under her skin. But Maya, she doesn't even pause. She glides right past him, her gaze straight ahead, giving him nothing. That alone makes his jaw tighten, his fingers twitching like he's itching to do something. Oh, he's not used to this, is he? By lunchtime, the tension's thick enough to choke on. Bryce isn't used to being ignored. Control is his oxygen, and Maya's refusing to feed it. He needs to up the ante to make a big public move to put her back in her place. So when Maya steps into the cafeteria, tray in hand, she's not surprised to see Bryce at his usual table, a smirk stretched across his face like a challenge. "Hey, Maya!" he calls out, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "You still crying about your little locker?" The cafeteria quiets, students glancing between them, their forks hovering over their trays. Maya doesn't even flinch. She grabs her tray and walks past him to her usual seat, her movements smooth and unbothered. But Bryce isn't done, not by a long shot. "Guess you can't handle it, huh?" He jeers, leaning forward. "Maybe your big bad daddy should come fight your battles for you." That gets a reaction, a few chuckles from his crew, a few uneasy glances from others. Maya finally turns, her eyes locking onto his. "It's funny," she says, her voice calm but cutting. "You keep bringing up my dad like you're not the one who almost pissed himself when you saw him." Oh, snap. The cafeteria goes dead silent, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Bryce's face darkens, his friends shifting awkwardly, caught between laughing and pretending they didn't hear. Maya takes a slow, deliberate bite. Oh, what a powerful story of resilience and quiet strength. Maya Williams' journey at Clearview High screams a truth I hold dear. True power isn't in being the loudest or the cruelest, it's in knowing who you are and standing firm, no matter who tries to tear you down. I'm absolutely inspired by Maya's refusal to play Bryce Carter's game, her patience in letting his own arrogance unravel him. It's a blazing reminder that bullies, with their fragile egos, thrive on fear and reaction, but crumble when faced with unwavering confidence. Isn't it exhilarating to see someone like Maya, an outsider, flip the script on a so-called king without throwing a single punch? This story hits hard on a social issue I'm passionate about, the toxic high school hierarchies that elevate cruelty and crush individuality. I despise how these environments often reward the loud, the aggressive, the ones who build their status on others' pain. But Maya, she's a beacon of hope, showing us that you don't need to conform or fight fire with fire to win. Her strategy, patience, intelligence, and self-assurance makes my heart soar. It's a call to action for all of us to reject the pressure to prove ourselves through dominance and instead embrace our unique strengths. Why should anyone dim their light to fit in? Maya's victory proves that authenticity and resilience can topple even the most entrenched social structures. Let's celebrate the quiet warriors, the ones who change the game by refusing to play it, and work to create spaces where every kid can shine without fear.